relieved and happy to be headed over here.
The Canadians airlifted from the coronavirus-struck city of Wuhan are now back home. Now they're bracing themselves for life under quarantine. Hundreds of Canadians arrived at a Canadian Forces base in Trenton today, putting behind them what for some has been a weeks-long ordeal in a part of China that's been on lockdown because of the virus. Talia Ricci is at the base for us in Trenton tonight. And Talia, they're back on Canadian soil, but it will be some time before they can go home.
That's right. I'm just outside the base where more than 200 Canadians landed today. And the base is also where they're going to be staying at a motel for the next 2 weeks. They managed to evacuate the epicenter of the coronavirus in China. That first plane landed early this morning. It was carrying 176 passengers. The second plane touched down around 1 o'clock, and that was carrying 39 Canadians. But that was initially an American evacuation flight. Now all of these Canadians are going to be in quarantine.
We're doing really well. We are much relieved and relaxed to be here, and we're settling in and trying to overcome the only major hurdle left, which is getting over jet lag.
These Canadians wanted out, and now they're home. Their worries of what could have happened if they stayed in the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak are gone.
We were in the countryside a number of hours outside of Wuhan. If anything medical had happened to us, coronavirus or otherwise, there really wouldn't have been many options for us.
Both flights left Wuhan yesterday and made a stop in Vancouver before continuing to the military base in Trenton, Ontario.
And we are taking the necessary precautions to ensure the safety of our guests, our personnel, and also our local communities.
A snowy and cold arrival, but also a warm welcome from the local community.
So we decided to put together happy treats, cupcakes, brownies, heart-shaped cookies. Welcome home. We want them to feel happy. They're home. They're on Canadian soil.
The community is very supportive, very, very supportive. I've had a number of business people step up. I've had calls from people south to Caring Place and west of London to asking how can they support, what can we do.
All passengers were processed by Canada Border Service Agency staff and health officials, then taken to this motel. They'll be provided with meals, necessities, and some entertainment. Carrie Bowman was quarantined during the SARS epidemic.
Because we know what occurred during SARS, you really would want to have people that are properly trained to stand by for their own psychological support. And again, I'm not saying that isn't happening, but you really have to think about people's psychology and emotional needs as much as their physical.
But for now, after a long journey, a new priority for Megan Millward.
Definitely need to get a couple of hours sleep to be able to think straight again.
So this was obviously a very stressful, a very long journey. We know that on that first flight there were 34 minors on board, so there were quite a few families that arrived today. Earlier today, the health minister said that they would also be providing them mental health services to offer them that extra little bit of support. And we also know that another evacuation flight chartered by Ottawa is expected to leave Wuhan on Monday. Dwight?
Thank you, Talia. There's one man who's voluntarily going into quarantine, but it's for a very good reason, to see his daughter. Richard Fabic and his wife sent their 15-month-old daughter Chloe to China to stay with family while they prepare for a move to BC. While little Chloe was in Wuhan, the coronavirus outbreak hit. After a lot of back and forth with the government, Chloe got on that flight to Trenton, and her dad will soon join her. We caught up with him this morning before he went into the quarantine.
I'm just really excited for when I get to see her in a few hours. I'm preparing to enter quarantine voluntarily so that I can be with my daughter and help take care of her and alleviate or give my in-laws a break because they've been taking care of Chloe for the last, well, since December. Certainly, the more rational side of me thinks, okay, well, there could be a danger that someone might be infected. I'll follow proper sanitary process, wear a mask and wash my hands and whatnot, and limit contact with others there. But really, at the end of the day, I'm just looking forward to spending time with my daughter. Seeing her again, hugging her, holding her, and playing with her again. The last time I was away, just for a few days, she's excited to see me. She wants me to pick her up. She wants to give me one of her toys. And then she gets bored of me and she wants to move around. So I wonder this time how long that period of, you know, she wants to be with me, hold her and whatnot will last. I'm hoping more than a few minutes. So Peppa the Pig is her absolute favorite toy and TV show, and so I made sure to pack away the whole family. No, I really have no expectations on what I'll see, what we'll do. I imagine we'll be mostly in the rooms, maybe with some opportunity to walk around, but I haven't thought that far ahead, and I haven't received any information, but I think it's just really spending time with the family.
5 more Canadians on board the quarantine cruise ship off Japan have now tested positive for the coronavirus. It brings the number of Canadians sickened to 7.
It's distressing. We've seen the ambulances coming and going all day long, and just looking over our balcony, we've seen the people loaded on and taken away, and it's extremely scary.
In all, 61 passengers are ill and have been taken ashore. The outbreak has triggered a lockdown of the Diamond Princess, with all passengers confined to their cabins. Japanese officials now say the 2-week quarantine could be extended. In total, 3,700 people are on board, including more than 240 Canadians. Another cruise ship, the World Dream, has been quarantined in Hong Kong after 8 former passengers caught the virus. About 30 Canadians are on that ship. None has tested positive so far. Now, the World Health Organization says there is a shortage of medical supplies that are needed to fight the coronavirus outbreak. There aren't enough masks or respirators, and what is available is up to 20 times more expensive than usual. Today, the head of the WHO said there are too many people buying protective equipment who don't need it.
WHO discourages stockpiling of PPE in countries and areas where transmission is low. We call countries and companies to work with WHO to ensure fair and rational use of supplies and the rebalancing of the market.
Meanwhile, the Chinese government's efforts to contain the virus are ramping up to even greater heights. Several cities, including Beijing, have banned large gatherings for events such as birthdays, and there are limits in some cities on how many family members can leave the house at any given time. Elevators in high-rise buildings in Hubei province have reportedly been shut off in order to prevent people from going outside, and there are reports that officials are going door-to-door in Wuhan checking people's temperatures. You can find the very latest on the coronavirus outbreak online at cbcnews.ca. A violent arrest on a TTC streetcar during a routine fare inspection. Video of the incident was posted to Twitter today. It shows 2 TTC special constables tackling a passenger and spraying him with something just before 8 o'clock this morning. It happened on the 501 streetcar route along Queen Street. Angelina King joins us live from Queen and River. Angelina, there's been a lot of response to this.
Yeah, Dwight, this one's got a lot of people talking. The video has been viewed on Twitter around 35,000 times since it was posted just before noon today. We weren't able to interview the man who took the video, although he did explain what happened on Twitter. Before we get to that, I first just want to show you that video in its entirety.
You'll see. Get down, get down. Right. Sir, come on. We can't have you filming right now.
So the man who took that video says everything escalated within seconds. He says the constables asked the man on the streetcar for proof of payment. He sort of blew them off, but they insisted. They stopped the streetcar, and that's when some shoving and punching took place. The man describes a pepper spray-like foam being used. I asked the TTC what that substance is, and they wouldn't say. The man who took the video says before the officers got on the streetcar, the man in the video appeared to be intoxicated. He had kicked off his shoes and was yelling at people, although he didn't seem dangerous. Now, the TTC says that it is investigating this incident. It released a statement, part of it saying that all of this happened during a routine fare inspection, and it happened after the special constables were approached by several customers who had concerns. Now, Toronto police are also investigating. They say that the man on the streetcar was aggressive and violent, and that TTC special constables arrested him, then took him to a police station. Now, a number of city councillors have condemned the TTC constables' actions on Twitter, including Josh Matlow. He's calling on the TTC to improve training, to apologize, and he wants the police to investigate the TTC constables' actions. Councillor Brad Bradford also on Twitter saying this is not the way to handle fare evasions. Now, we've heard some concerns that we could see more incidents like this one because the TTC is hiring more fare inspectors as they try to ramp up enforcement. All of this because they just released numbers earlier this week. The TTC says that it lost just over $70 million last year because of fare evasions, up by just nearly 10 million more compared to the year before. Dwight?
Thank you, Angelina. Kaylin Schlater's defense lawyer attempting today to sow seeds of doubt about the memory of a key Crown witness. The witness is an undercover police officer who was placed in a cell beside Schlater the night he was arrested for Tess Ritchie's murder. The officer testified earlier this week that Schlater constantly boasted about his prowess with women. In her cross-examination today, lawyer Lydia Riva repeatedly questioned the officer's recall of information, asking if it would have been better if he had recorded the jail cell conversation. Tess Ritchie was found dead in a stairwell in the village in 2017. Schlater is on trial for first-degree murder in connection with her death. Both sides have finished their final submissions at the sentencing hearing for the so-called chair girl. 20-year-old Marcela Zoya pleaded guilty in November to mischief, causing danger to life after throwing a chair off a downtown balcony last year. Taylor Simmons now with the latest from the courtroom.
Here we go. Marcela Zoya didn't stop for questions when court concluded today, getting straight into a waiting SUV. Today, the Crown played this video as evidence showing Zoya throwing a chair over a 45th floor balcony near Lakeshore Boulevard. They also brought in the two chairs found on the ground near the condo. Crown attorney Heather Keating told the courtroom Zoya is lucky she didn't kill someone, saying about 20 people and a woman with a stroller were seen in security footage at the time of the incident.
Checkpoint 2.
Defense lawyer Greg Leslie argued peer pressure and her young age played into the incident. He says Zoya has also struggled with ADHD since childhood and was self-medicating with alcohol at the time.
It affects her decision making and would make it irrational, right? Like she's not thinking properly when she is so intoxicated and suffering from the ADHD.
Zoya stood up in the courtroom and read a statement out loud, saying she's sought out a doctor and counseling. She also said, "I am sorry and know that people could have been seriously hurt as a result of my actions. I never intended to hurt anybody, and I know this was a very immature and stupid mistake, which I take full responsibility for." The Crown is arguing for 4 to 6 months in jail, 2 years probation, and a social media ban. They say with the coverage the incident is getting and the notoriety Zoya has gained, jail time would provide a deterrent to others. Leslie wants a suspended sentence, saying jail time goes too far.
She has a criminal record now as an adult. That is going to affect her for a very long period of time. So that sends a message to anybody out there, right?
After 3 hours of arguments, the judge said she needed some more time to think about her decision. She'll be back in court with that on March 12th. Taylor Simmons, CBC News, Toronto.
No ifs, no buts, no education cuts. No ifs, no buts.
Another day, another teacher strike. So what's it like on the picket line? We followed a teacher from getting ready in the morning to walking, chanting, and protesting against the province's cuts to education. We'll have that for you coming up a little later. And those teachers were out in the cold and the wet, snow, slush, protesting, and the cold continues with an extreme cold weather alert, Colette?
Yes, it does, Dwight. So we have this alert in place for tonight. It allows them to open up the warming centers. But boy, oh boy, we're all going to be feeling this as those temperatures fall off. There's been very little change in the temperature from the low this morning to the afternoon high. A degree or so change, just kind of waffling back and forth around -5, -6, where we sit currently. But we've had these fairly strong winds from the north to northwest. Here's a few areas where they're still sustained nearly to 30 kilometers an hour, but gusting close to 50 in Toronto and towards Oshawa as well. Those winds will be backing off a little bit overnight tonight. They won't be as strong, but still enough that we're going to see a wind chill. The current wind chill factor, it may be only -10 in St. Catharines, -15 though in Kitchener, and -13 in the city. At least we're getting into this clearing trend, the snowfall off towards the east of us. In a few areas though, still those winds are blowing it around, so you can have some areas with some reduced visibility and some highly localized squalls. But high pressure is building in. That's what's clearing the skies out tonight. The positive note about that is it means it gives us all kinds of sunshine for Saturday. So it may be crisp out there, but it will be sunny. Tonight, however, -14, extreme cold weather alert, feeling like we're in the -20s, -8 with sunshine tomorrow. And we have another system that's going to bring the temperatures up, but bring some snowfall on Sunday. I'll tell you about that coming up, Dwight.
Thank you, Colette.
You're welcome.
Now, in some parts of Toronto, the city is responsible for shoveling sidewalks after a snowfall, but a few Scarborough residents say they're sick of the service because every time crews swing by, their property gets damaged. Nellie Nanowski explains.
See that missing chunk of grass and this broken fence? It's just the latest victim of the sidewalk plow.
This year, they've managed to hit my fence twice. The second time, the worst time, where they dislodged the whole thing and pushed it right up against my vehicle.
And Terry Smith isn't the only one tormented by the plow.
A good example of the sod removed here.
Just down the street, Donna Moore's lawn has been dug up again.
I live on a curve. The sidewalk dimensions, however, don't vary. It just means they have to slow down a little.
But residents say crews just plow through.
It's supposed to be an essential service, which should be appreciated, but in our case, it does more damage than good.
So much damage that after 35 years on this street, Smith finally complained when workers broke his fence.
The city did come and have a look at it and noted it and told me that they would be fixing it early as they could in the spring.
We're about halfway through winter right now, and already there have been about 200 complaints about snow removal from this ward alone. That's how many the councillor expects to get through a whole winter, and we still have about several weeks left.
The complaints seem to be steady.
Ainsley passed a motion to have staff look into why this keeps happening in Scarborough, though he's pretty certain the issue is citywide.
I've talked with some of my other council colleagues, and I'm hearing the same thing from them. They're not happy with the quality of the work.
That doesn't surprise these residents.
And in the spring, it means we have to repair our lawns on both sides.
Hopefully by this spring, these residents will have some answers. The staff report on plows is due in June. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
Many trains between Toronto and Montreal and Ottawa have been cancelled today due to protests blocking the tracks near Belleville.
I'm here getting ready for my 12:20 train, and to my surprise it was cancelled, and got in line and heard that all the trains were cancelled. So we're all scrambling, making friends today, looking for alternate routes to Ottawa.
I'm just tired and upset about it.
Members of the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory created a blockade using a dump truck. They are acting in support of Indigenous protesters in BC, attempting to stop the construction of a natural gas pipeline. So far, more than 25 trips have been canceled because of the protest. It is also affecting freight trains. Via Rail is asking passengers to check their website for updates. After the break, I sit down with a living reggae legend.
I came from Jamaica with a lot of sunshine.
Yes.
I came from Jamaica with a lot of love in my heart for my people. I'm longing to see them. I'm happy that I'm here.
Judy Maud is a third of I3, the trio who sang backup for Bob Marley. How she helped pave the way for today's female reggae artists coming up.
The weather update is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
The mayor getting a tour today of the NHL's Black Hockey History
snowfall,
Mobile
but then we get
Museum. The museum celebrates past and current Black NHLers from Willie O'Ree to Grant Fuhr to PK. It's making its first appearance in Toronto at the Malvern Community Centre. The free museum will be in the city through Saturday as part of Black History Month activities. She was one of I3, Bob Marley's backup singers. She went on to have a successful solo career that included a Grammy nomination. Tomorrow night, Judy Mowat will be headlining the Legends of Reggae concert at Brampton's Rose Theatre. I had the chance to sit down and speak with her today. You were the first female Grammy nominee in the reggae category back in 1985.
Yes.
What did that mean for you back then?
I never thought, after a while, trying and not having your music played on the airwaves in Jamaica, because you would have our male counterparts' music being played regularly. And every now and then you would have a female record being played. was happy to know that after struggling so hard and working so hard, here comes the achievement. This was no money, no monetary gain, but just to know, you know, that you work hard and it is paying off and you're being recognized for the work that, you know, I've done in the past.
And it was just this year, finally, at the Grammys, Coffee won.
Yes.
And she's the first
female.
First female to do that.
First female.
But you opened that door.
Well, thank God.
Let's get to your career with the I3. Famous backup singers for Bob Marley. Do you have a favorite memory of working with him so closely all those years?
Well, what I love about Bob is that Bob stood behind his songs. He was not a fictitious person, that he sees the situations, the chaos that's happening in the world, and wrote about it. Bob's music was like solution to the problems of the world. The circumstances, the situations, it was solution. Bob never cared about money. Bob gave money away. What he wanted to see was that the oppression that black people especially experience, not only in Jamaica, in Africa, in the Caribbean, all over the world, would have ended through the message that he sent through his music.
That
through
spirituality.
the medium of music.
And that consciousness.
That
in the lyrics.
consciousness, yes.
Black woman, ooh, black woman, I feel struggle alone.
You have a beautiful anthem, Black Women, that talked about the struggles of your sisters on this planet, that is still played today, and an anthem for a lot of people. What can people expect from you tomorrow here at the Rose Theatre in Brampton? Because a lot of your fans are very excited.
I came from Jamaica with a lot of sunshine.
Yes.
I came from Jamaica with a lot of love in my heart for my people. I'm longing to see them. And I will be doing songs from yesteryear, from my different albums, the Black Woman album especially. And I think I'll not give any more. I'll just save it.
They'll have to come and see.
They'll have to come and enjoy it and see it for themselves.
This place is going to be rocking with a lot of love and reggae tomorrow night. So looking forward to that big show.
That's reggae music.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Judy.
Bless you. Bless you.
Should be a great concert tomorrow. Remember, you can find stories highlighting the Black experience in this country. Just head to cbc.ca/beingblack-in-Canada. With the world's attention on the coronavirus, some doctors are concerned about another virus that could be more dangerous, the flu. Why the year you were born could affect whether or not you get sick, coming up after the break. Elementary students are out of the classroom for a second day in a row in some regions of Ontario today, including here in the GTA.
Stop the cuts! Stop the cuts! Stop the cuts!
Our teachers, our members, will not back down. We're not going to back down on the critical issues for classrooms and teachers, educators in Ontario. The future of our children is at stake.
Teachers at more than a dozen school boards are striking today in Toronto, York, Hamilton, and Windsor. Yesterday, nearly 1 million students had the day off as the Elementary Teachers Federation held a province-wide strike. Key issues include special education funding and full-day kindergarten. The union says a deal to prevent further strikes was close last week, but after 3 days of talks, the province suddenly tabled different proposals. Meanwhile, Education Minister Stephen Lecce says his government put forward reasonable proposals. Another province-wide strike is scheduled for Tuesday. Teachers from Wandering Spirit School, formerly the First Nations School of Toronto, were among TDSB staff on strike today. For elementary teacher Val Cooper, the fight is to protect resources and support for special education. CBC Toronto followed her from her home this morning at 7:30 to the picket line.
My name is Val Cooper, and I teach grade 7 and 8 math and science at Wandering Spirit School at the TDSB. On a normal day, I'd be sort of getting ready and going to work and going to school and getting my classroom ready, but today I'm not going into the classroom because we've escalated our work to rule to actually picketing, and schools are closed because we need the supports within the classrooms that help our students succeed. So without the, I almost want to call them the behind-the-scenes supports, without the spec ed, without the special education teachers, without the psychologists, without the early reading coaches, those are the things that really make a school work and really make students to be able to achieve their own success. We are a Indigenous focused school, so we do talk about the fact that it's important to get out on the land and to get out sort of, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. So as long as you're wearing extra socks and extra pair of pants and you bring a nice warm beverage, you can stay warm. I don't know any teacher that wouldn't rather be in the classroom with their students. But that means in the classroom with their students with the supports that they need.
All right, so we were just meeting everybody at our school, meet all of our teachers from our school. Now we're headed to the Danforth to be with a bunch of other schools, and then also just so that the public can see us and ask us questions about why we're on strike today. Right now we're at sort of Donlands and Danforth, and this crew will be here till 11:30, and then we've got the afternoon crew who's going to come in and replace us so that we're here all day trying to get cars to honk and everybody to support us and sort of know why we're out here. So far we've seen nothing but support from the public. Nice honks, we've had students bringing us snacks, we've had fellow teachers who are with different unions coming and supporting us, bringing us things to keep our hands warm, things like that. Right, so we've got the local MPP's office just across the street from here, and he's been kind enough to say that if we need to go in and warm up or use the bathrooms, we can go into his office. I guess my point would be, when it comes to salary, this is my third day out in the snow picketing, which means I've already lost more than 2% of my salary this year. If this were about a salary, it's already gone. This is about making sure that our students have what they need in their classrooms. It's not necessarily about the money we take home as teachers.
The crisis continues for the Cabbagetown Youth Centre. After months of pleas for more funding, staff say the beloved space could soon be closing its doors. City Hall reporter Lauren Pelly has more on their plight.
We know that the doors of the CYC may be closed permanently, and that is something we must prevent.
Flanked by supporters of all ages, Councillor Kristen Wong-Tam made this plea.
We are calling upon City Council to inject emergency funding to save the Cabbagetown Youth Centre.
So access to recreation is a challenge in our communities, and we have taken the burden off of City of Toronto services. Now we need the city to help us.
The center has been operating for close to half a century, offering drop-in programs and after-school activities for neighborhood kids. After a recent drop in provincial funding, there's worry the space could be forced to close next month.
This is not the first time advocates have rung alarms about the youth center's uncertain future. For close to a year now, officials say funding has been drying up and multiple programs are on the chopping block.
When children first come in, we do mindfulness with them for 15 minutes, and then we go back to either the main room or the middle room to do either snack reading, homework, or...
The coordinator for the center's after-school program says losing it would be a major loss to neighborhood youth.
It gives them the time to be in a positive environment. We have staff that are kind of serve as role models, and we can kind of model behavior that's really important in life.
The center first started as a boxing gym.
Excellent. You've done this before, I know it.
Former Olympian John Calvin is still showing the ropes to kids and even this reporter.
1, 1, 2, left, left. Excellent.
There we go.
It's literally my home. Like I spend more time here than I spend anywhere else. So
Sounds like it's the second home for a lot of the kids now.
it is, and it's a lot of the kids come in and they come to the gym right away. Saturday, come to the gym. Like they're not supposed to come in Monday. Well, can I come in and work out? I said, well, I can't say no, of course.
But without enough funding, that won't be an option. Council will be faced with a decision on February 19th. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Our Lauren was kind of impressive with the boxing skills there.
Yeah.
On cold days like this, Colette, kids need a safe place to hang out.
Yeah, they do. I think that's a really great program, too. Really, really nice there. And you need somewhere to hang out when we're talking about temperatures dropping off as far as they're going to be overnight tonight. And we're going to see a couple of days. It's fairly short-lived, but with some pretty cold air. So the extreme cold weather alert's been issued by the city. That gets those warming centers opened up. But it's something for everyone to take note of because you have to dress appropriately for this. Plenty of sunshine with the crisp air on Saturday. That will be nice to see, but things change a little bit for the second half of the weekend. Yeah, snow's going to be returning. However, it's going to be quite late on Sunday. It looks like the timing of this system when it moves in. So it's more kind of late Sunday and then overnight into Monday morning. Yes, into Monday morning's commute. These are the current temperatures that we're looking at, -6 in Oshawa and in Toronto, -6 as well. And then those winds, which have been pretty blustery from the north-northwest, our gusts have exceeded easily 40 kilometers an hour, and even the sustained winds around 30. So we're looking at a wind chill of -13. It's slightly better in St. Catharines at -10 and way better Windsor at -5. Those winds are going to ease up a little bit through the overnight. We'll still have them, but they're not going to be gusty or anything like they have been. So they are driving some of these squalls, highly localized, but you can see some areas there near London where travel conditions are not great because of blowing snow and reduced visibility. Otherwise, the trend is that this ridge of high pressure builds in and it's carving things out, those clouds out of here, and that sets us up for that sunshine on Saturday. So the snow from earlier, even in eastern Ontario, that's moving away. The cold front pushes through and the cold air is allowed to slide in here. The next system, though, that's coming by, now this one kind of passes towards the south of us. It will bring some cloud cover into early Sunday, but it's really not till later Sunday that we see the system come in with some snow, then turning into a bit of a mix and kind of lingering into Monday morning. We could see 4 to 8 centimeters from this one and then clearing out by Monday afternoon, but it is something to take note of. Your temperatures tonight, well, the wind chill is significant, feeling like -20. Your wind chill tomorrow, even with the sun and the temperatures trying to climb up, it'll be around -11. And there you go. With that system at least coming in for the weekend, Dwight, it brings our temperatures back up. But, you know, it's always that trade-off. We got some snow coming back, too.
Back on the roller coaster. Thank you, Colette.
You're welcome.
In Hong Kong, people are placing flowers at a memorial to the doctor believed to be one of the first people to sound the alarm about the coronavirus.
I think he's the first group of people who has discovered this disease, and he's willing to speak up the truth. And unluckily, the truth was not spread around early. So that's why things happen like this.
People gathered in the city to place white flowers by a picture of Li Wenliang. Li died this week from the virus. He was reprimanded by the Chinese government for warning about a SARS-like coronavirus before it was officially recognized. His death has triggered mourning in China and rare online expressions of anger towards the government. Social media users called him a hero and said the Chinese government should apologize to Li. However, those posts were apparently later removed. Now, with so much attention focused on the coronavirus, many doctors warn that we're forgetting about the flu and just how dangerous it can be. Influenza pandemics throughout history have wiped out millions of people, but new research suggests when you were born may influence whether or not you get sick. Vicatopia explains.
Ready?
Alta Eng only rarely gets flu shots. She's never been sick with the flu before.
I always thought that I have a pretty good immune system, but I've seen how the flu has affected the neighborhood and my friends and family this season, so I decided to get one today.
Eng's luck could have something to do with the year she was born. New numbers released today show how some age groups are more susceptible to getting sick than others. Sometimes it's the young, sometimes seniors.
Certain group of people that they might be more susceptible during specific years if one type of virus is circulating.
This demographer worked with infectious disease experts to track down the effect of what's called antigenic imprinting, the idea that your exposure to different flu strains builds antibodies that make you resistant to future infections. Using flu data, their study found that Canadians born during the deadly Hong Kong pandemic that started in the late 60s and are now between 40 and 50 were more resistant to the flu strains of the past 2 seasons.
As you will get other infections later in life, even if it's with different virus, you will most likely boost your first antibody, the first antibodies that you met earlier in life.
Knowing which age group will be vulnerable to the flu could be important for planning during epidemics.
Our hospitals in Canada are typically above 100% capacity, so there's no wiggle room there, or at least not a lot of wiggle room.
This infectious disease specialist says these new flu findings are important, but there are multiple factors that influence who's most at risk during outbreaks.
Their vaccination rate, the population, how sort of immune is that population. The relative humidity in the room is actually a big player in terms of influenza transmission. And so all of that stuff is playing into the epidemiology, which is why it's so hard for us to predict what's going on.
As for Alta Eng, she's not taking any more chances. Vicatopia, CBC News, Toronto.
It is a multi-billion-dollar beauty industry and growing. Marketplace investigates the illegal sale of skin lightening creams.
Our test results found as much as 4% hydroquinone in this bottle, and it's not even listed.
That should not be available over the counter.
The toxic truth behind a questionable beauty product, coming up next. Skin lightening is a multi-billion-dollar business around the world, with some in the beauty industry tapping into the idea that lighter skin is more desirable. But a CBC Marketplace investigation has uncovered that some of the products are sold illegally and they could be dangerous. Asha Tomlinson has more.
Some people believe lighter skin is better.
What comes with lighter skin? Can I be very honest? Great opportunities. To be honest, that's what I feel.
It gives them attitude. Lighter skin gives them who bleach attitude.
But are skin lightening products as toxic as the message? We find dozens of products in stores across Canada with our hidden cameras rolling.
This one works really, really good. Like, we were sold out of this for a while.
Become insecure. Become what?
And we sent some of the most popular ones to a lab in the UK to test for mercury, hydroquinone, which has links to cancer, and 2 potent steroids.
Dr. Kellett, how are you? Nice to see you.
We share our findings with this Toronto dermatologist.
Our test results found as much as 4% hydroquinone in this bottle, and it's not even listed.
That should not be available over the counter.
Hydroquinone over 2% requires a prescription. The company behind this product says what we tested must be counterfeit. What they ship to Canada is totally hydroquinone-free, and that they promote a black is beautiful message.
Our test results found.
This product we bought online had up to 16,000 times the amount of mercury allowed by Health Canada, and a steroid.
Mercury has some carcinogenic effects, and as well the steroid, it's too strong for use.
Gorey says their product isn't supposed to be sold here and insists they don't use any mercury. They suspect this may be a knockoff. Health Canada declined our repeated requests for an interview, but after months of asking, issued a new advisory, warning Canadians that it's illegal to sell unauthorized skin whitening creams. Many of the stores we visited cleared their shelves after we contacted them, including Clore Beauty Supply.
Now that I do know, I do feel totally responsible for it.
And the company says they're removing them for good. Asha Tomlinson, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, Marketplace contacted all the companies behind the products they tested. Many said their creams are not meant to promote a desire for whiter skin. They're intended to even skin tone, and added that they're not meant to be sold in Canada. To see the full investigation, tune into Marketplace tonight at 8 o'clock on CBC Television, or watch anytime on CBC Gem. It's a place that's well known for candid conversations and honesty, but instead of having your hair done at a salon, you get your health care on. The Care Collective is an initiative that's bringing HIV testing to salons because organizers believe it's a step to end the stigma.
It's to demystify something that everybody has a contentious relationship with, which is HIV testing. We don't even want to talk about HIV. How much more testing? Because when you talk about it, if you test, maybe just the fact of the test alone might be the thing that creates it. So it's just make it something simple. If you can take care of yourself, you get your hair done, you get your nails done, you get your tests done, you know where you're at. The process is very simple. It takes about 30 minutes from start to finish. So there's a pre-counseling, which is really where you sit with the person who's going to test you and tells you what the outcomes could be and what the variables could be. So the actual process itself, as I said, it's not that long. But to get the results, it's just like a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes. Then after the test is done, regardless of what the results are, there's a post-counseling. So the counselor still tells you, has a little conversation, checks with you where your emotions are, how you're feeling, and depending on what the outcome is, we'll give you further resources. So the person is never left alone on the journey.
What a novel idea. After the break, we head to the beaches, a community mourning the loss of a local legend.
I want to be a movie star. Nobody.
His name was Wayne Joyce. He sold pens at the corner of Queen and Lee for years, a corner that is now home to a memorial to the man. We speak to one of his closest friends about his love for life next.
He's a breath of fresh air, because if you're having a bad day, he makes you have a good day, no matter what. And he says, anything bothering you, Pat? No, nothing bothering me. I'm fine.
What is life going to be like without him?
Lost. I care to him like he's mine.
A Toronto neighborhood is mourning the passing of a local icon today. Wayne Joyce was a fixture in the beaches. Yeva Lutz spoke to the people who knew him to find out what they'll miss most about a man they called Hollywood.
I remember walking by and he'd always call my mom Marilyn.
Beach residents visit a makeshift memorial placed in the same spot Wayne Joyce used to sit, selling his pens out front of the grocery store at the corner of Queen and Lee. Joyce was known by the nickname Hollywood because he would call every woman who passed by Marilyn Monroe. Some men would get Rock Hudson.
And he was always so pleasant and always like, "Hey, darling," or "Hey, muscles," something funny like that.
You didn't expect someone to call you Marilyn Monroe or something like that because most of us don't look like her. And so it was a great compliment and just made you laugh and have a happier day.
Joyce died of a heart attack on Saturday at the age of 60. His childhood friend, Patricia Pfeiffer, watched over him his whole life.
I always put a smile on people, call them different names and stuff. He was an easy person. Easy.
It wasn't easy for Joyce. He was born into poverty and had health problems throughout his life, but it didn't stop him from getting out every day to sell his pens.
It's so beautiful. He don't even think about his sickness. He was a fighter. He'll be the first movie star.
Back in 2013, there was even a rumor he had died, but we found him selling his pens outside Toronto General after a bout of pneumonia.
I want to be a movie star. He wanted to go to so many places. He really wanted to go to Hollywood.
Later in life, he needed a kidney. Pfeiffer gave him one of hers.
Was that a hard decision for you?
No. It was the easiest thing I ever did. If I had to do it all again, I would do it all again. Because he was well worth it. He was a love in my heart. Yeah, that's IGA there, look.
And Wayne's in there, right?
Yeah, and we're here, somewhere in there.
But now that Joyce won't be returning to his regular spot, people in the neighborhood say they'll miss how he made them feel.
Albert's has got to build it.
Yeva Lutz, CBC News, Toronto.
Heading to Grimsby in the morning for some basketball with my little one, but the drive should be okay.
Yeah, you should be doing okay. It's just that it's going to be cold,
Yes.
so at least we'll have clearer conditions, but everybody's got to kind of protect themselves and bundle yourself up. We do have an extreme cold weather alert for tonight as these temperatures fall off very close to minus 15. And in terms of that wind chill, feeling like we're in the minus 20s, even though the winds won't be as gusty as they have been this afternoon and this evening. Now, tomorrow afternoon, minus 8. Sunshine, a pretty day.
Yes.
Just a little bit of a cool one.
We can handle it. That's our show for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Mike Wise has your next local news tonight after the National at 11. Colin and I will see you back here on Monday.